Very good afternoon once again, everyone. I'm extremely delighted to take an opportunity to welcome and introduce our next guest speaker for the day, Professor Rupinder Singh, sir, from NITTR. Professor Rupinder Singh received his PhD degree in Mechanical Engineering from TIET Patiala, Masters of Technology and Bachelors of Technology from Punjab Technical University. He is Chartered Engineer by Institute of Engineers and UGC Research Awardee. Currently, he is Professor at Department of Mechanical Engineering, National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, Chandigarh, India. He has more than 20 years of teaching and research experience in production and industrial engineering, with special emphasis in additive manufacturing, non conventional machining, and casting. He has guided large number of PhD and master students as well as coordinated 17 finance research projects. He has received several scientific awards. He has worked as evaluator of projects for international research agencies as well as examiner of PhD theses with many Indian universities. He is the guest editor for several international journals, books editors, and advisor for many international conferences. So, without consuming any time, I would like to request Professor Rupender Singh sir to take the session forward.
Thank you, Professor Komal, for the opportunity to be the part of this program. I am very thankful to the authorities of GVM Institute of Technology and Management for arranging this program on NBA processes, NBA accreditation, and the retail processes. I'm really happy that I'm the part of this program, and I have been given the opportunity to discuss in the area of R&D. So my discussion in next 1.5 hours will not be the theoretical discussion, but I would like to explain some of the tools that can help us in increasing the R&D and fetching the good consultancy, raising the funds for the institute or for the individual, and then of course the student related projects, so that the overall effect is that we are able to get good recognition by any of the regulatory body or some investigating agency, or the bodies like NIRF, these type of things. So with the permission of the chair, I would like to share my screen. Can you see my screen, please? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. And I am audible also, right?
Yes, sir.
So, dear friends, the discussion in this session will be more on the R&D part. Of course, I will try to correlate every aspect with the NBA requirement for UG, PG, and these type of different levels, and of course the consideration for some consideration for IPR. Then of course the consultancy and student projects that we will also take care of. So let us start the discussion. So before we actually talk about NBA, just three, four title slides I just want to share with all of you, so that we may know that why we are actually interested in this, right? So what is the need for the sponsored research and consultancy? In our country, we normally say that India is basically a agri-based economy, and from the last 30 years, if you see, as per the Niti Aayog website, the contribution in the manufacturing sector by in the GDP is around 15%. And if you compare with the other countries like China or other countries, it is really better than this. Specifically, if you talk about the case of China, this contribution of the manufacturing sector is around 34%, right? So this is one thing which basically motivate us that the contribution from our side should be higher, specifically if we want to have some global impact, for the betterment of our Indian economy. So as per the NITI Aayog website, there seems to be some policy failure, which as a technocrat we have to see. This problem is not new. The government is well aware of this problem, and to address this issue, in 2004, the government of India set up a National Manufacturing Competitive Council. This was headed by the group of ministers, and in 2006, the government of India, Prime Minister at that time, Dr. Manmohan Singh, he also chaired one of the session, and the concern was that we should increase the contribution of the manufacturing sector from 12 to 14% to 25 to 35% in the GDP of the country. If you just do the Google of the NITI Aayog website, you can well see that as per the NITI Aayog, they are interested that by 2025, this contribution must be 25%, right? This seems to be unrealistic, but of course, this is the target by the government of India. Now, if you see, since the financial year 13-14, this contribution in the GDP was around 15%. But if we are able to increase up to 25%, we will have 100 million jobs for our countrymen. This is not like only that the government is saying this. Even the public sector, I have quoted one of the got by given by the N. Ravi Chandra, who is the executive director of BHEL, that we have to increase the contribution of the manufacturing sector. But there are some issues which basically hinders this growth. Like some of the issues I have put in the bullet point, like we have a problem with the infrastructure, we have some problem with the finance, we have problem with the land acquisition, we have problem with the labor laws, and there are many other things which actually hinders the foreign investor or even the domestic investor to invest in some business, right? So these are some of the demotivating factors in our country. Like we don't have a good infrastructure as compared to the developed nation. We have issues with the finance. We have issues with the land acquisition. We have issues with the labor laws, right? So what does this mean? Should we stop working, or we can have some other solution for this? So to address this issue, there was a discussion between CII and the government of Andhra, and they come up with a point that innovation in product and process can be the key driver for the growth in the manufacturing sector. Actually, this is the key point from where actually the whole discussion will start of the R&D. Basically, the country needs that there should be a innovation. It may be in the product or it may be in the process. And if we do this, this can be really a highly motivating factor, specifically in increasing the contribution of the manufacturing sector in the GDP. I give you one simple example to put my point. In our country, there is a lot of potential for religious tourism. A lot of people move from one place to another place for the religious tourism. Like before this Corona period, if we see from this part of the country, like let us say the Punjab side, people used to go to Nanded, which is in Maharashtra, for visiting a holy place belonging to the 10th Gurus. 10th Guru of Sikhs, that is the name of the place is Hazur Sahib. And you will just imagine, on an average, it is reported that around 5,000 people on a particular occasion, right, they visit that place. So once you visit some particular holy place or any other tourist place, the people want to have some souvenir as a token of remembrance for their near and dear ones, and they used to take that souvenir with them, and of course they keep it as a token of remembrance. So I have own personal experience that I visited that place, and once I was in the market for looking out for some souvenir, I just came across a LED set in which there was some set of LEDs, some 50 20 bulbs were there, and the shopkeeper told me, okay, this is Chinese, so this will have no guarantee once you will go outside the shop. So then, even if it is not working, then you have to keep it with you. But even then, I purchased that because of the value addition in the product. So what is the value addition? What was the innovation? Like they put some religious symbol on the top of the some bulbs, right? Like putting a symbol like a kunkar or any religious symbol which you believe according to your faith. And then there was a quotation from Gurbani, or there is a quotation like Yatra Shri Hazur Sahib. So just see, adding these two things in a one electronic product, which is a set of LED bulbs, the value has increased. This what they have done. They have done some innovation in the product. Like if I add these two values, right? So the product sellability is going to increase. And you just imagine, lot of people visit a particular place, right? And these type of all, Chinese bulbs, or these type of souvenirs, they usually take with them, and they keep with them for as a souvenir for that particular visit. Although its cost is less, so that is also another motivating factor. So my point to project over here is the innovation. So they have done the innovation. Innovation is just adding some value into the product by maybe citing some, quote of a particular faith, putting some symbol, religious symbol, and then otherwise nobody is going to purchase some LEDs other than some Diwali period. But if you add some value to the product, people are really interested, right? So if we do this, there will be certainly a interest of the people in your product. Now, the thing is, the everybody across the globe, they are interested in new products, new technologies. But the point is, if you come up with a new product or new technology, and if you launch that product, first in the market, then only you can think of a launch share in the market. So we have to basically innovate. We have to develop some new product, and we have to launch that new product first in the market. That is the idea of telling this whole story. Now coming to the educational sector, this slide I have taken from the DST website. We normally distinguish the educational institute in a way that they are either the teaching institute at UG or PG level, or they are doing the research, right? So normally we make a demarcation. Okay, this type of institute, they are made up for teaching, and these type of institutions, they are made up of research. But we need a closed cycle where the teaching and research is the integrated part. Normally, you see in most of the Indian institutions, we are doing not that good level of research, and of course, the teaching level is also not that good. But for the ideal university, the case should be high in research and high in teaching. So what can be the indicators for this? Like the indicators can be in the form of the R&D expenditure, and then there can be in the form of how many personals are involved in the R&D, and of course the output will be in the form of R&D activities, patents, and then scientific publication, citations, these type of things, right? Now this is the one mirror in front of us. Because at the end of the day, present name is the Clarivate Analytics. What does this say is that the Indian share in the engineering research was 4.3% in 1981, which was reduced to 2.2% by 1995. And India again regained its position to 4.25% in 2010, and presently in 2020-21, this is again less than 5%. But if you compare India with China, Korea, and Taiwan, they are much ahead of us, right? We normally say that we are really good in software or computer science and engineering, but at international level, again the contribution is around less than 2.5%. Whereas China, Korea, Taiwan, they are doing little better than us. So basically, this thing I just want to discuss with you, because now the ball is in our hand as a technocrat, as a academician, as a maybe any branch of engineering. I must be having a one solution as a development of some product for national or the international community, rather than depending on some foreign technology. I think the idea is clear why we are interested in R&D, right? So broadly, there are four issues that have been identified. One issue is the identification of the research problem, which are relevant to the fundamental and industrial research. So most of the time, once we are interested in increasing the R&D level in the country, we normally heard from the people that the the identification of the problem is not that much clear to us. Whether I should do work in the fundamental research or I should do work in the industrial research. Then the people are not that aware of different government and non-government funding agencies, right, or the industries. Then the availability of the infrastructure and the demographic related issues, and of course the correlation of research with the faculty promotion. Now this issue has been addressed by various regulators like UGC or AICT in a big way, but still this is an issue. I will talk on all these four issues and try to correlate it with the NBA requirement, and I will also try to give some solution for addressing these issues. Let us take these issues one by one. So the first is the identification of the research problem relevant to the fundamental and industrial research. Okay. Most of the time, the new researchers or the new faculty members, they were having a not that much exposure in from a very good institutions. They are not very much clear what sort of a research activities I should perform, right? Whether I should do some fundamental research or I should do some industrial research. But what sort of a thing is the need of the hour? Let me tell you, the country need both fundamental as well as the industrial research. Let me give you one example. I was in UK for some time for attending some conference, and I used to visit that university in UK. And what I came to know that most of the universities in UK, specifically on Birmingham side, right? What they are doing is if some researcher is doing PhD in I mean, on a fundamental, problem, then it becomes a institute-sponsored research work, and they used to spend around 5 hours or 5 years for this. And if you are doing some, industrial PhD, then it used to take around 3 years. And for that purpose, the industry has a hand-holding with the institute, and there was a one supervisor from the industry and one supervisor from the institute, and they used to complete their task within 3 years. Like once I visited that place, I came to know that some typical mechanical processes there that is called honing, and they were performing it for the Rolls-Royce car, and two PhD scholars were working on it. So that is basically the industry hand-holding in a big way for supporting the research. In our country, typically this type of culture is still not there, uh, but we can have the industrial sponsored PhD through different programs. I will show you how. The one of the fundamental thing is we, as a researcher, I must know who are the senior researchers in my area, and the identification of problem for doing some R&D is really important. Nowadays, there are different scientific tools which we can use, and I would like to explain some of the live tools with a suitable example so that I can put my point so clearly in front of you. So I am trying to show live demonstration for some tools from where I will come to know where is the research gap and what sort of a research study I can do in my work, and that can really help me in fetching good grants, good consultancy, then good R&D and the publication. So all these things are very much important. So I'm taking you to one of the website. If you can see my screen, can you see my screen? Can you see the screen? I'm taking you on another website. This is a Web of Science. Are you able
Yes,
to
sir.
see the screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Your skin is visible.
Okay, great. So, once I'm doing some research in some of the area, I may be a person from computer science or electronics or mechanical or management or any domain of science and technology. There are some databases which are highly respected at the international level. So some of the database are like Web of Science, then Scopus, then there is a database of PubMed, right, and the dimensions. So these four databases are very common. Suppose you present some paper in in some conference, you can see after some days, the detail is available on the Google. right? So Google also maintains some sort of a database. Similarly, there are some paid databases like of Scoopers, which is basically as we are promoted. This publication is basically a business, and there are different international publisher in this race, like Elsevier, Emerald, Springer, Sage, right? So there is a wide list of highly established, publisher, and these publishers then they have a some sort of a engagement with some defined databases. Like for example, these papers is really promoted by the Elsevier type journals, right? Elsevier publisher, and there are almost all Elsevier journals they are having a super indexing. Similarly, the Emerald are more towards the Web of Science, right? So there are mainly, if I see the broad classification, this is for the good selection of the journal. It is either Web of Science or Scopus or PubMed or Dimensions, right? So I am showing you one screen, which is basically a as a search engine and try to see something. So similarly, I have a access for the Web of Science in my institute, and like I do some by Google search engine. Similarly, I am putting some search on this Web of Science as a setting, right? So I put the title as a 3D printed antenna. So if you just open Web of Science on your screen, and then Web of Knowledge, some search over here, let us say 3D printed antenna. I put the button as a search on, right? So it is trying to fetch some data. Now the results it has shown. See all the papers, right? With the name of journal, name of authors, their titles, everything is available. Now you can do some filter, like you can do some filter based on what date you are interested, then how many times the paper has been cited. So based on the citation also you can rearrange based upon the usage count, how many times that particular database has been used. Based on your relevance you can sort it out, and there are many other filters also. Let us say, just for the understanding purpose, I'm trying to see how many times the paper has been cited, right? So what I am doing is I'm just exporting this data in some file format, right? So it is giving me two options: paper on all report on the page, or it can maximum take top 500 papers. So top 500 articles has been selected to this data. So this file is getting saved on my desktop in the form of .txt file, right? So I am, you can see on my screen, it has been saved as .txt file. Now this is the only job of this search engine. I repeat again, I have a access for the Web of Science in my institute. This access is being provided free of cost by the AICT to all AICT institutions. So you can have the access of Web of Science, you can have access to Scoopers that is being provided by the AICT, right? Otherwise, this is a paid, and then you can have access for the PubMed, you can have access for the dimensions. So these are main four search engines. So for the demonstration purpose, I selected a particular search engine as Web of Science. I put one keyword, and based on that keyword, I put the search, and I got these many results. And top 500 results have been, selected, and some file has been saved on the desktop. Now the next step is I'm using a software. This is a called VOS Viewer. This is a open source software. Anybody can do this online, or you can also download this software. This is a free of cost software on your desktop. And now what I am trying to do is just do the Google, put the VOS viewer. This is basically a library science software. You can download it on your screen. And now I am importing that file into this software. Now you see how. Can you see the screen, please? Can you see the screen of the software? This is a VOS viewer software. Is it visible?
Yes,
Can you see the screen of the software?
visible.
Okay. So then I am going to, okay. Just go to the create and I am importing that file. You know, I have saved as the .txt file. Let txt file software, open source software is able to take the database of science, Scopus, or the dimensions or the PubMed. Let us say I selected this, right? Go to the next. So here I am importing the file I have selected because it is from the Web of Science database. So the file that I have saved on my desktop that I am importing, right? So that file has been imported, right? If you use the Scopus database accordingly, you can select that. Then go to the next. Then next, you will see some algorithm at the backend is running. The computer people can comment in a better way what sort of extraction they are doing. But actually, I understand as a mechanical person that out of top 500 selected articles, it is used in those particular articles, and you can select their occurrence, right? Like for example, there were 9,703 terms, right? If I select that minimum occurrence as 10, how many terms met the threshold you can select? Let us reduce this threshold. Let us say I made the threshold as 5, right? So you can see around 458 items met the threshold. Then I put the word select. Then again next, some relevance score will be generated. So this is a table which shows the relevance score and the occurrence of the common terms used in that particular research work. When I put the button as finish, I got a very beautiful networking diagram. So now you can see I am getting this networking diagram which shows a different color bubbles, right? Some are blue color, some are green color, some are redder, and some are in some different colors. Basically, this shows the cluster of the research done in a particular area. Like all blue color, this belongs to a particular cluster of the work done in the 3D printing of antenna. Similarly, green color is another cluster of the research work done in some other area, right? Now I want to see where is the research gap. Like for example, I am interested in antenna, so in antenna the bandwidth is really important. So just I take my cursor to the bandwidth. So you can see if I am interested in bandwidth, I got a new networking diagram which shows that bandwidth has some relation with the highlighted links, whereas the other links which have been lightened in the screen, there is some sort of a research work has been done earlier, and what is the research gap? All of you are, I suppose, the faculty or the research scholars. Some are interested in their PhD, or even for our master students, or even for sometimes the UG project, we have to define that whether I am doing some work, is it really novel, or this work will be having some meaning in future. So what we need to do is we have to go for a literature review, and at the end of the literature review, we come up with a comment, okay, some studies have been quoted on this, but there is a research gap. Now, this is a scientific way to prove that this is the research gap. I can again present a networking diagram like this. This is basically called a bibliometric analysis or the bibliographic analysis, and this database is capable of doing all this literature review in fraction of second, right? Otherwise, which we used to understand by visiting the libraries for a couple of days or couple of months, collecting so much database, and that was really time consuming. Now I am getting that device for 3D printing. I get a different sort of networking diagram. So I am able to see where is the research gap. Now this is the one of the most scientific way to understand where is the research gap, right? And based upon the research gap, actually I can well pay problem. So if I am interested in doing some R&D, the basic thing is I must know how to identify the gap, whether it is a industrial research or it is a fundamental research. I think my point is clear. I would like to prove it with another example. So for the better understanding, I am taking the another example so that it may be more clear to the audience. Again, I am using Web of Science database, right? So for searching on the Web of Science database, I am putting some keywords, right? So the keyword I am putting in front of you. Let us say on this, I am putting another keyword. Let us say it is some electrochemical machine, right? So this is a typical mechanical process. So if I put a keyword like electrochemical machine, I put the word search, right? So if I just put the word search, so you can see it is showing me around 3,808 these many articles in past 20 years. This database is giving me the result of past 20 years. Again, I can shortlist, let us say, based upon the citation I am selecting, and based on that I can export this data, right? So again, top 500 papers with the high citation, it is exporting. I'm saving it as a file. That file is being saved on my desktop, right? So let us say this is the file name. It has been selected on the desktop. Again, now I am opening a software, Wasvia, which is an open source software. Again, go to selecting a text file. You can see Web of Science database I am selecting. Then here I have to import the file which I have just now selected. So this is the new file that has been selected. Go to next. Then the same algorithm running at the backend, right? So it is again making some relevance score, and the out of most cited articles, uh, what is the recent thrust area, because I am selecting uh, past 20 years data. So in past 20 years, so which is of a more important work that will come to come to me. So I can control this number of occurrences. Normally I keep as 5. You can select according to your wish, right? So some top cited articles will be there. Then I am going to generate a relevance score with the help of software, and it is free of cost, totally free, right? And then once I will finish, so it will come up with a very beautiful networking diagram. So you can see as per the topic selected, so there are now 3 clusters, and these 3 clusters are having some sort of a work going on. Now I am interested in electrochemical machining. I put a node on this, so you will come to know that for this process, these are the more active areas, and for the rest of the areas, the work has not been done, right? So one of the basic thing I have explained you as a tool. I think it is clear. So I think the idea is clear. The idea was clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us continue with our presentation. So the first thing is the authors are sometimes if they are interested in writing some such paper, they are not very clear that whether my research identification, such problem identification, and search gap is right or wrong, right? And you can use this tool. This is basically a library science tool for identification of your research problem and in your research gap. And then another most important thing is, we must follow the research done by our previous researchers. So please see the work done in India or abroad, and try to locate the work done only specifically in the area of science and technology, work done in the published reported in the SCI journals, right? So, otherwise, there are many predatory journals which are not good for doing the reporting that data. So once you have a habit of publishing in those low quality journals, then the search level will certainly will not improve. So if you do the bibliometric analysis or the bibliographic analysis at first stage and see the search work done by the other researchers, you can certainly identify a good research problem, whether it is of a fundamental nature or it is of industrial nature. You will come to know from that research gap analysis, right? And this will not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. This is very easy to do. Then of course for improving the research domain, you can have a visit to some industrial innovation fairs. Then of course the industry help we can take. Then regular interaction of the faculty with the industry is there. Then you can have some industry consultancy project. Of course this basically gives you a lot of motivation if you are interested in doing some of the fundamental research. Then there is a problem that people are not very much aware about what sort of funding agency they should go for uh, getting the funds. There are many funding agencies in our country. Yes, if you do the Google, you will find that more than 40 different funding agencies for different domains. They are very liberally funding, like DST, CSIR, DRDO, AICT. So what you can do is you can have a special workshop in house in your institute through your R&D or something like that, and you can see what are the focus area of the institute, and you can plan this the special industry. These funding industry people are also doing a lot of workshops free of cost for the institutes for explaining what they need actually from you, right? So of course you can have a mutual consultation with industry also, and some seed money can be provided to the young researcher in an institution for starting this. Now this is another important thing that I want to focus. Of course, I will show you how to write a paper, good project with a case study in couple of minutes. Then specifically, if I am interested in some regulatory body assessment like the NBA and all, uh, one thing is very important that the infrastructure that I am having, whether it is available for UG or diploma or the PG level labs, it must be of industrial standards. Like for example, in typical engineering college, if you talk about the mechanical branch, we have a setup called UTM that is very much common. I suppose no institute will be will not be having this setup for testing some tensile properties of the material, right? No, one thing is I'm having a setup, right? But I don't know the code and standards to run it, right? And these are not confining to some ASTM standards or some ISO standards or some BIS code. It is not following. Then no industry will come to you for getting some result checked from you as a standard or a primary standard, right? So what we can think of if you are going for some NBA type accreditation, you can also think of some NABL based accreditation that is specifically for the lab equipment, right? So that certification will really help you in fetching good consultancy for your particular institute. Let me give you one example. Like in this Ambala region, there are a lot of people who are working on development of some mixture grinder. We have a domestic mixie that we call in our day-to-day language. So that mixer grinder is a lot of small scale manufacturers are there, but those mixer grinders are not following some ISI code, or they are not having the proper certification. Now they want a certification from some institute which is in line with the ISI codes, right? So you must have some setup to test as per the ISI requirement, right? Okay, this is conforming to this type of the code. Now to get to give that certification to the industry, your equipment must be NABL accredited. So that can be one thing. Once you plan to have some equipment in your institute, or you have already one equipment, try to get a NABL certification for that. Let me tell you, this is not very costly. This is just a procedure on the maintenance and upkeep of that equipment, right? So that can be really helpful in getting your equipment usable for the industry. They basically want cross verification from this, right? So you can think of getting some sponsored project from DST, this model type schemes of the AICT. Then of course you can think of the concept of a philanthropist or involving your elderly people. Specifically, if you are interested in library type things, then with IITs and NIT, they have the policy to use the access of their libraries for the neighboring institutions. Then, of course, this is really a debatable part, the correlation of the research with the faculty promotion. So already API score is there. People are really crazy about SCI publication in conference, then attending some short-term courses like we are doing right now, then getting some sponsored project and consultants. Now let us see what is the NBA requirement. For the different type of streams, for UG, PG, diploma, they have the different marks. But they do give the weightage to the academic research, to the sponsored research, to the development activity, to the consultancy, to the manufacturing contracts, to the testing contracts. How much IRG you can generate out of this. So normally in some locations, people normally complain that we don't have the consultancy, or people used to make some consultancy data just for the some consultation purposes. Let me give you one example where we can actually get a good consultancy, not in lakhs, but in crores or multi-millions from some international experts. So you can note down this is the site 95.9sigma.com, which is basically a sort of a international agency which normally asks for the consultancy project. I will take you on a virtual to this. You can physically see and you can see how many projects you can actually do. We have done one project with this international service provider. You just see the screen. This is the line site sigma.com. You can see this is asking for a project on different disciplines, like for the life sciences, for the chemical, then you have a for the mechanical, again for the manufacturing, similarly for the stem cells, for the the mechanical part, because I'm more comfortable being understanding the requirement. So they have around 130 projects internationally they have opened. We have already, you can see the type of the projects they are actually involved in.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah, yes, please.
Sir, please paste the link in the chat box, sir.
Okay,
Nine side.
okay. Okay, I will send the link, no problem. No, but just see all the live projects are there. And if you just see the basic for this is what they say, you have to just register free of cost. You have to give 1 to 2 page summary. Then of course they are really bothered about the financial gains also, right? So but my submission is you can use this opportunity to really raise funds for your institution. I think you can note down from the screen. This is the name of the site is 9site.9sigma.com. Basically, how I came to know about this, one of my collaborators to whom we are working is in Italy, and we got a call for developing some smart material for the construction in some part of the Canada where the temperature is around -40, right? So we have to give some solution which is basically helping that particular area people, that the once they open a heat inside, the temperature is really source of heat, and that heat has to be conserved. So for that purpose, they used to have a timber and a lot of wood is they are using on their walls, right? But now they want some solution which can be the replacement of the wood or timber, and also they are having some issues at that time for reusability of the thermoplastic. So they were interested in some plastics for the waste management. So based on the requirement at that time, we provided them with a solution, okay, which is basically based on some 3D printing of some smart lights and some self-aligning tiles. So that was the solution that we provided to through this site only. Unfortunately, in the final stage, we were able to go, but at the final stage, we were not able to really mark our presence. But that was so refined by the international reviewers that we submitted it later on to the PSG and we got really good funds. So my submission is that sometimes if you are not getting from a particular agency, you know the way the reviewers will take you to some level. With that, now further refined project after some refinement, you can submit it to some other agency. And definitely the success part is there, right? So one is before I'm interested in doing some R&D, I must know what is the search gap and try to follow some scientific tool like I have explained to you, which is a free of cost Boswell scientific tool. Then you need really need a funds for doing some research. And if you have some idea, you can really use this particular site for solving some of the problems at any place of time, right? So as regard to the typical MBA requirement, if we do these type of activities, it carries a lot of meaning. Specifically for the student related project, one of the thumb rules we follow is that is like, there are 50 students in your class. All students must not be doing the similar type of final projects. Some may be doing some survey-based projects, some may be doing some industry-based projects, some may be doing some fabrication-based projects, right? So I need a heterogeneous group, right? So this will be really helpful in attaining some POs. Like the POs, like for the typical mechanical engineering students, I may be able to design and develop. Then some professional ethics, which is really common for all. Then what will be the outcome of this? So the thing is, your students are able to design something, develop something. You know the codes and standards. So once you know the code and standard of working at some place, right, then you know basically the professional ethics of doing the work. So automatically the known taxonomy is being followed, right? So my submission is, along with the practical knowledge that we are getting or we are following a particular format, the thumb line is that at the end of the day, the projects that my students are doing, it should be of a heterogeneous nature, right? You can divide like some as a survey based, some as industry based solutions, some as fabrication based solution, some as the simulation based solution. There can be some work as a study type also. So this will really help us in fetching really good image once some team is listening to us. Then, of course, the research publication and PhD guidance, of course, depending upon the level of the institution you are working, right? Some are master's level, or even if you have the facility to do, guide the PhD work, so which carries a lot of meaning. One of the common things that the MBA team visit, once they visit, they ask what is the H index of, of the institute, and then what is the citations that are related with the institute, then H index of the individual. Scopus database, and you can see what is the H index, right? So the higher the better is, right? So then of course how many books you have published, PhD guidance, funded research, consultancy from the industry. So basically these all leads to the development of some product or the research lab or the instructional material, working models, monographs, whatever you have developed. Now they are really important. Now, you see, in this year 2020, the national education policy has come up, right? So once you are doing this type of thing, if you are able to correlate your work in line with NEP 2020, certainly you are going to get good marks. Like for example, suppose you are a typical engineering institution. Now, if you are able to correlate your work, let us say with some medical fraternity, and you are able to solve, let us say, some of the problems for some medical people. Like nowadays, there was a COVID period, and a lot of people from the typical engineering institutions, they try to develop some face sheet, some face marks for the doctors and the nurses and all people who are there for the the care of the COVID patients. Now, can you develop some low cost technologies for them, so that will be really in line with the NDP 2020, right? So if you can show some of the work, uh, maybe interdisciplinary in nature or multidisciplinary in nature, that will really help you to get a good position in your during the NDA visit, right? Now, till now, we understand that my country needs the strong R&D. My country needs the development of the product, right? So, as per the requirement of my institution, I must be getting good rank in NIRF, then good publication, okay, then MBA status and all those things, right? For that, one of the basic thing is how to write a proposal, right?
எங்க கொஞ்சம் படுத்துருக்குது.
Is it audible, please? Do we have any query? Is it audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, there was some, I suppose, some noise. Anyway,
எல்லாம் படுத்துருக்குது எனக்கு அமுத்து
let me differentiate how to
Yes,
write
sir.
a proposal in two stages. The first is like suppose you are a PG-based
நல்லா
institution,
வலிக்குதாங்க
right? So,
கொஞ்சம் அமுத்திடும்
you
வந்து
are
வலிக்குது.
okay. I think somebody is there.
Mr. Santal, please mute yourself.
Okay, so let us start again. I am interested in writing a proposal. Suppose there is a call by some funding agency, maybe UGC or DST or AICT, and the principal investigator or the co-investigator, they have not done some research work earlier, or they have not the repo of raising some funds, right, in past. So the board at the time of presentation will be little shaky to give you that funding. So the first thing is I must have a repo, right? Like you go to bank for getting some loan, so they see your CIBIL score, right? So whether you have the paying capability, that is very important for some financial institutions to give you funds. Similarly, in the research line, if I am going to allot you some funds for research, the board is really interested whether you will be really capable of doing things. So the basic check for that is, right, you have to show that okay, I have already completed these many such projects, right? So one of the basic step is you start doing some small projects in the baby steps. This is one of the funding agency, that is the Institution of Engineers India. I'm just trying to show you the one of the basic format. They are providing very liberal funds for diploma teachers, for degree diploma students, degree students, then master students and PhD students, right? But they have the small funds like 20,000 for diploma, then 50,000 for graduate students, then 1 lakh for the PG student, 1.5 lakh for the uh, this PhD students. So they have a very simple two-page performa that you can actually fill and raise the funds. I will show you one of the filled performa to put my point. Right. So you see over here, there are some. This is one filled performa in front of you. How it is going to help me. Okay, this is the one of the work done by me and my students. The title of the this is a just you do IPEA.org, the performa is available over there. First you have to write the title of the project. That is quite common. You have to give some name of the institution. Again, some name of the students. Here you see the students are really important over here. So their data is there. And specifically in the engineering domain, they have identified around 100 students. The funding agency wants to know whether the supervisor is having some research background. So they have put one bar that minimum 5 good publication by the supervisor should be there. So you just write this whatever the publication you are having. Then the publication at the student level, like at that time once I got this, My students were not having any publication, but certainly I got this. Right now, there is a lot of competition. So even if your student is having some publication at the national conference or at the international conference, that will be, really helpful in raising the good funds, right? So this is something which is giving the some brief outline to the funding agency. Okay, the supervisor is you know quite knowing about the R&D part. So and he means business. So right, so the board setting over the the previous biodata of the supervisor and the ME student, in this case master students, they were trying to see. Then you have to write on the objectives, which are of course very common. What are the objective of your work. Now to define these objectives, I have to go for the bibliographic analysis that I have shown to you. So you can say from the research gap what can be the objective of your work. Then of course the review of the R&D. Now normally they say that you put it up to certain limit, right? So using that diplomatic analysis and networking diagram, you can certainly put your words in a very limited space and in a more scientific way, right? So just imagine if you don't know the use of those scientific tools, and the board is seeing some proposal with the use of really good scientific tool, and rest of the people who have not used the latest scientific tool, definitely the person who are using that, they will get a edge, right? So we have to be with them. Then you have to put some project duration, some work plan. The better way is you can put in some steps or some stages. You can make some flow diagram as it is being shown in the screen, right? And then the future plan. Then what where this rest of the fundings will be there. What are the facilities? Then of course some recurring and non-recurring part you have to show, like what sort of a thing you required out of the project. And then there is a certification by the head of the institution, right? So that is just a routine matter. So my some small R&D projects. Like if you are having a master student or the bachelor students with you, try to submit the project to this funding agency. And they are very liberal, and they have a regular meeting after every 3 months. Just to itindia.org, you will see that they are quite liberal in providing the funds. I started my first project in 2005. I got the first project that cost me something around 50,000. Until now, I have completed 17 projects to the tune of 3.5 crores, right? So just by doing some small projects of 50,000, 1 lakh, 3 lakh, 8 lakhs, now I got a project of 84 lakhs, something like that, right? So the my personal observation is, if you come up with some systematic way of presenting the things, the board will be really having a faith on you. Okay, this person means business, right? So this is the scheme that you people can really follow for the search work. The first thing is you can have a you know getting this type of data for completing some small projects, right? There are some state councils like in Punjab state. We have a Punjab state council. Similarly, there is a Chandigarh state council for science and technology. There is a state council for Haryana state council is there. These all are basically the different wings of DST, and they provide quite liberal funds. Specifically, they are interested in some study-based schemes also, and they provide funds to the tune of 20%. So you can start with them also, and once you complete 1 or 2 or 3 projects, then write to the funding agencies like UGC. Like typically UGC, if your institute is having 2F and 12B, you can really raise the funds from the UGC. They have the provision of minor research projects and the major research projects. And let me tell you, for the minor research projects nowadays, they provide very liberal amount of around 5 lakhs, and even there is no presentation for that. So only your biodata and your proposal, that is going to be a decision factor for getting the funds. So once you complete one or two minor such projects, then you can get a major research project of 25 and above, right? So similarly, all of you, I understand, as a AICT institutions, you are regularly writing to the AICT. Once the board is sitting and they are seeing your proposal, they will be really worried whether the outcome will be there or not. So if you have a good repo at the back end, you have completed some 4 or 5 projects, definitely you can think of minimum getting a project of 30 and plus, right? So that is the way we can proceed for writing a good research proposal. Whether this is really a good research proposal, there is a good research gap analysis, right? So you can take the help of bibliometric analysis. Then the next key point is the work that I am going to present, right? I have to follow a baby step path, right? In which I have already completed some projects and I am presenting in front of the funding agency. Okay, these projects I have already completed. Let me be given a chance that I can complete now a larger quantity or larger volume project, right? So this can be the one way of doing it. Typically, from the MBA point of view, we are really interested in the IPR. So just I want to spare some time on IPR also. Uh, how to go for the IPR, right? So in our country, we are having a different type of IPR. We have a product patent, we have a process patent, we have a design patent. Somebody call it as a design registration also, right? So let me show you first the Indian patent site. So this is the site I am sharing with you. I think all of you can see on the screen. This is basically maintained by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. There is a department for promotion of industry and internal trade. Now, if you are really interested in IPR, my submission is please visit this site. You will come to know that most of the time the cost of filing the patent is very nominal. And if you are having some new idea and that idea can be helpful in some startup, you can get this patent done or granted within maximum 1.5 years, right? Otherwise, it takes a couple of years. Let me show you. This is uh, I'm sure you can see the screen. So there is a application status tab. I'm clicking on the application status. I just want to show you live how this actually works. So you will come up with this type of the screen, right? Like I'm going to give you one of the screen as a case study. My own case. This is 2847 DPL 620. Region, there is a Mumbai region, right? There is a Chennai region, right? So the whole country for the product and process patent divided into 4 categories. Now, if you are finding somewhere from the northern part, so you will get a Delhi office, right? So you can see I have put some number as 2847. This was my patent number. This has been filed in Delhi office in the year 2013, and I can see the status online. So just I am trying to put some captcha over here as per it is coming over here, right? To see if it works. So you can see this is the status of my patent, right? Online you can see this has been some application number is there, some date of filing is there, some title is there, some name of attorney is there, and you can see the stages going on. So you can also anybody can see the all the documents what have been filed when it is published. Some questions have been raised, then of course the answer was given and it was under the examination. Right? Now coming back to the point that we want to make, the first you understand like this, whatever the product I am talking about for getting a patent, it is broadly classified into 2 types, whether it is a product or a process or it is a design. So product and process we take as a single, and for the design we take it as a different viewpoint. So for the design registration throughout the country, we have a headquarter at Kolkata, whereas for product or process, we have a regional based headquarters. Like I have already explained for the northern part, we have the headquarters at Delhi, right? Now, let us understand the difference. Suppose I am a researcher and I am developing some, let's say, some jar for the mixer grinder. Now, how it will look like, right? So, how it is different from the already established brand? Like, let me give you one example. If you see the most common brand in this northern part for the domestic mixer grinder is the Sujata, right? This is quite common, commonly used brand, and there are some international manufacturers also like Philips is there, right? And there are many more. And of course, if you talk about this Ambala-based industry, there are hundreds or thousands of the small-scale manufacturers. Now I am interested in getting some patent on my mixer grinder and how I will do it. So the one simple way is you can register your design, right? So that design registration is at the Kolkata office, and it is basically on the aesthetic look, right? So you can think of some ergonomic based design for your top chamber of your mixer grinder, and you can click the multiple photos. You can uh, explain that how it is better than the already established brand, right? And then you can file that particular thing in the Kolkata office. But if you are interested in product or process, then you have to pass through more stringent process, and that is the reason it has been divided into some regions. And specifically about the design patent, the people are getting it granted within 6 to 8 months. Whereas for the product and process patents, the normal time at the government level is around 3 to 4 years. Right? So what is the procedure? So first, the simple way is I can search for the Indian Patent and Trademark Office. I have already given you the name of the website is there already. You can follow this, right? What you can do is in a simple way, you can write to your state council, right? These state council, which are basically the wings of the DST, they are bound to help you in filing this. So if you write to the state council, right, with one abstract page of your invention, they will do one patent search, and based on that patent search, they will send you one questionnaire, which will be more exploratory in nature, like how you come up with that invention, right? So if you are able to justify your point, then they will present this case to the typing office. So typing is another wing of the GST, right? So they basically ask you for some presentation in their office, and you can present your case well. And if it is done, then they will provide you the attorney help free of cost. This is basically provided under different scheme of the DS. So what we have to do is we have to find a patent attorney. If you are presenting your case to your institute, it is totally free of cost, and if it is selected, the whole payment will be given by the DST office, right? Then, of course, you have to be very clear what sort of a patent you are. Either you are going for the utility patent, design patent, plant patent means product or process. Then, of course, your patent application will be filed. Then, if you are using some, already established agencies, then you will come a e-filer. Then, of course, they will read the formal application, submit to the office, which is zero cost, right? So this is the standard.
One more question, sir.
Yeah.
I have filed a patent in 2018, sir.
Uh-huh.
They 2 months before they have raised some queries in my patent, sir, filed.
Yes.
Within 6 months, they asked me to reply.
Yes.
If I reply means they will conduct a exam. What is the procedure, sir?
No, they have now put your patent or your application for the review. Now the reviewer has raised some queries. So based on those queries, if your answers are okay, right, then the reviewer will say yes or no. If if the reviewers are not justified, they will give you one more chance and one personal hearing also, right, to present your case. You just imagine this is like a court. Now you are presenting your work in front of some judge, right? Whose judgment is based on the reviewer you know viewpoint. Now once you are given one chance, okay, you can answer your queries, right? Now if your answer, the reviewers accept your queries, it is okay. If it is not, then another one chance will be given to you, and you can get a personal hearing also, and you can present in front of the patent office, and the reviewers will be present over there. It may be a virtual or maybe otherwise, and if they agree, they will decide or yes or no. So that is the point, right?
Sir, okay, sir. No need to go there and queries and all. So, just I answer the queries through online. That is sufficient. Whether I have to go to
That will be sufficient. You have to submit the answer in a proper format. So for that purpose, you will be requiring the help of some attorney, because
okay.
once you have to answer, no, there are some forms that has to be filled,
So
right?
the answer must be posted in the patent web portal by login using a digital signature. I have to post the answer for those query, for their queries.
See, there are three different ways of submitting your answer. It can be in a hard copy mode. It can maybe in a mode you are talking about the portal you have used. It depends on how you have filed your case, right? So if you are e-filer, then probably the online pattern will go. But if you have done the other way, you have already taken the help of some, patent attorney, then they accept through the hard copy mode also, right? So you have to be very clear whether it is a design work or a product or a process work, right?
Okay, okay, sir.
If,
Sir,
if your case is a design, then this is only submitted at the court of law. But if it is not a design or a product case, then it is on a regional case, right? So you know your case whether it is in which office you submitted your proposal.
I submitted through the through online, sir.
Through online, but which office?
Myself, not through attorney. Myself, sir.
No, no, but there is some office now where your case is you are getting some results, no? So there is some
Okay.
regional office for that.
Chennai office, sir. Chennai office.
Chennai office, no? So that means you are talking about not
What, sir? Hello. Chennai office, sir.
the case is a design and you have submitted by chance to the other office, simply they will reject because they don't have the authority to take that. So in that evaluation stage, so we have to be very careful. In our country, if you are interested in Indian patent and it is a design-based case, then it has to be in the Kolkata office only. For the product and process case, it has to go to the special regional office, like this gentleman is saying that he has submitted to the Chennai office, right? So
Okay.
there is,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
So
sir.
then of course the procedure from the government point of view I can share with you just in one of these slides. I can just try to open
Sir,
the
uh, sir, Supposed to, I am Dr. R. Sundarkumar, Assistant Professor, Institute of Road and Transport Technology, Tamil Nadu. Sir, please post your contact mail ID, sir, in the chat box, sir.
Pardon?
Contact mail ID in the chat box, sir.
Let me complete my presentation. Everything will be there.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is the I'm supposed as a typical government way, the simple way is you submit to the some state council. Like in this case, I have submitted to the state council at Chandigarh, right? So you just have to write a one-page mention, right? Based on this, they will do some patent search and will send you some questionnaire. So this is the questionnaire that has been filled. Some declaration certificates are there. The questionnaire filled by the inventor. So there is around 22 questions that has to be submitted, right? So with this submission, it goes to the typic office, right, which is for the northern part. This is in Delhi, and presently this typic office is in IIT Delhi only, right? So they are situated in IIT Delhi. So then they call for you. They call you for some presentation, right? Some worksheet and some novelty maintenance you have to present. And if they agree with your viewpoint, then definitely they will provide you all any sport, and with a zero cost to it, right? So that is the one of the typical government way of submitting the application. Now, along with this, sometimes our work really cannot be patented. Like some of our friends may be from the computer science background, or some may be from the mathematics side. So suppose you develop some model or you develop some algorithm that cannot be patented, right? Then the other way, especially for this MBA part, you can think of getting the copyright, right? So this copyright procedure is quite simple, and the cost per copyright is less than 500 rupees. Depending varying from the type, but maximum it is 500 rupees. So there is a 3-page performa, right? So you have to fill this performa, and you have to send at the daily address. Just see the copyright address in the Google. You will come to know that there is a specific address for this, and the performa you have to write. Right, and the cost per copyright is 500 rupees. Similarly, as a typical computer science person, if you have done some algorithm, you want to have some program and you want to get a copyright for that, you can get the IPR in this form. Like in most of the colleges nowadays, a lot of people are
Sir,
helping.
sir, sorry for
Yeah.
interruption. One more query, sir.
Yeah.
In my college, they are not accepting copyright equivalent to patent. They
Of course,
just
it is
only
not
asking.
equivalent to patent. This is not equivalent to patent, but it
But
is an IPR.
sir, but they are not giving any mark for copyright, sir. They are giving only
You
mark
see,
for the patent.
I'm interested in two things. One is uh, raising the funds. So if you are having a copyright, it is having much more legal value than than a patent, because in our country the copyright laws are so stringent that nobody can use it without your consent, right? And you can, these are easily sellable. So basically, the point is not here to get the marks in the NBA, but to raise the funds. So this, if you have a copyright for something, this is sellable, and you raise the funds. That is the point, right? So there
Sir,
are the different ways of looking into this. Of course, this is not a patent, but this is a one of the way to raise some funds. So
so
that is
whether
the.
both
Pardon?
are having whether both are having the same marks, sir. Patent and copyright both are having same marks for career advancement. Different
I
marks,
have
sir.
already put my point here. If I am getting the copyright and I am having a patent, this has different meaning. Copyright is granted in 6 months. The patent may take 5 to 6 years to get it, right? So if
Okay,
you
sir.
see the regulation right now, they have put some marks for the uh, patents only, not for the copyright. But if your institution is, let us say, is having 5 copyrights, right, and this carries really meaning, these are sellable, right? So what is the actual aim of getting the IPR is you can raise some funds. Basically, this help us in getting a testing contract or the consultancy type jobs. So that is
Okay,
the
sir.
point of getting it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So these are some of the observations that I have seen for writing a good proposal for getting some IPR. These types of things. Now I am open for any queries. If you want to have any query, I would like to answer those.
So whether AICT will consider copyrights for CA's career advancement promotion, something like that, sir?
Again,
Any?
the same question you are putting in a different way. The answer is you can raise funds. If you
Okay,
have a
sir.
copyright for doing something, that means you have some innovative idea with you, right?
Okay, sir.
And that is sellable. So if your idea is really sellable, you can specifically, if you talk about NIST, National Institute Startup Policy, and you are interested in getting some startups, you are having a copyright on that, you can raise the funds. That is the point.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay?
I
So specifically,
understand, sir.
it carries a lot of meaning in starting your own small business as a startup. which is of course well recognized by the AICTE or any other regulatory body.
Understand,
Right?
sir. Understand, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other query I would like to answer?
Participants, in case you have any query, please unmute yourself.
Sir,
Good
your
afternoon, sir.
mail ID, sir. Your mail
Yes,
ID,
please.
sir.
Sir, good afternoon.
Yes, Dr. Pravinder, please go ahead.
Sir, nowadays there is a trend of filing Australian patents. What is the difference between the significance of Indian patent and Australian patent?
Uh, uh, Frankly speaking, I have also got many mails for these Australian patents. Uh, Still, I am not sure about the validity of these patents. Some of the my friends in my circle, they have also gone for this type of patents. But they say in their mail, if your product life is small, you can raise this type of uh, patent and you can protect you or something. But as long as I understand, once you file some patent now, and it is granted, it is geographical location specific, right? You must have heard that example of haldi and basmati rice. There was a lot of hue and cry some years back that somebody has patented this haldi and basmati rice, right? So my solution to your query is once you file some patent, right, it has to be a geographical location specific. Something that is patented in India may not be patented in China or may not be patented in some other part of the world. So what I'm getting difficulty in these advertisement of the Australian patent is they are not that way specifying the geographical location. So I have serious doubt on the validity of these type of the patents, right? So frankly, I'm not directly commenting whether it is right or wrong, but of course there is a doubt on their validity because the geographical location they are not specifying in a way it should be there for the international. Dr. Pravinder, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other, please? So, dear friends, if there are no queries, then I'm really thankful for your patient hearing, and I hope that this information will be useful for us for not actually getting the marks in NBA only, but to certainly raise some funds for the research, for the development of the product, and specifically for the betterment of the world. With this, I'm really thankful to the authorities of GVM Institute of Technology and Management, Sonipat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for being with us and guiding us on this essential topic. Your presence was very innovative, sir. Thank you so much. And dear participant, next session will be an overview of National Education Policy 2020, and the session will be delivered by Professor Sandeep Grover, JC Bose University of Science and Technology, YMCA, Faridabad. And the session will begin at 2:30 sharp. Thank you so much for your time.
Madam, please post the contact mail ID of Rupinder, sir.
Definitely will share it, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.